Everyone, I'm recording this session today, so let's see if we can push this quickly. I found this documentary, it's a Japanese documentary, and I think some of us might have seen this. And this gentleman here, it's not in English, so I'll have to talk over it. So right now, this gentleman on the right, a doctor in Japan, and like many years ago, he's the person who found a way to remove the polyps within the intestine without opening up your stomach. He was able to do it within the intestines. Does it make any sense? So before, apparently had to open up, but he's the one who came up with a new technology. So he's the doctor who's into intestinal health, and he will show you first. This is guts that belong to an elderly, age 90. Okay. So what we're seeing here, it's very clean. There's no wrinkles. Yeah, the color's good. This is a good example of a clean gut. Okay. And since we don't have all the time to look at everything. Now, it's another person. And you see that there's holes, right? Oof. Do I want to make it smaller? It's very graphic. Ooh, all right. So this, you can see there's a lot of holes there, and things get stuck in between. I'm so sorry. And what happens? Infections. I'm going to fast forward this. And many holes. Oh my gosh. Now it's another person. Look, everything that needs to get pushed out, it's all in there. And you know what? This belongs to someone very young and apparently very good looking. Okay? And this belongs to someone who's only 34. Okay? Actually, the person before that, it was even younger than 34. And honestly, this is a disaster. Okay? And you can see that this person has many polyps and has progressed into cancer, okay, cervical cancer. And you know what, the looks has nothing to do with it. Very young person, and keep going. Okay, you know what, I think that's enough to see. And here, they're all in their 30s. And what's happening here is that, remember the 90-year-old person's intestinal didn't look anything like this. This is basically like 2 centimeter and up polyps, and it's happening because of the feces that's remaining doesn't get flushed out. This is a cancerous cell. It has progressed to cancer, and this is all in the guts. And oh god, we don't need to see anymore. All right, now. The reason why they're showing this is that regardless of your age, what you eat, how you treat your intestinal health is hugely affected by the food you eat and the amount of water. And he's saying that this, not only you'll be gassy, bloated, or you'll have constipation issue, it's much more than just that. The environment in your guts is a lot more important. And he's going to talk about when, okay, she's going to ask the question. So can you describe and explain what could happen if you have a not so healthy environment in your intestine? And he says, if you have any residual stuff that's stuck in your intestines, actually what happens is that it can create gas, toxic gas, and actually all the stuff can be absorbed back into your bloodstream. So all the gas and toxins and cancerous substances can be created, right? If you think about it, and within days and weeks. And then it can travel back into your bloodstreams and it will move around in your body. So what happens? Maybe Denise can understand the Japanese here. Right? Then this can be linked to prostate cancer or even breast cancer. So in America, in the US, patients with breast cancer always gets checked for their colon health. And of course, if you have colon cancer, it can be very easy to be transferred to breast cancer or prostate. Everything is so closely linked. So they do the test throughout. They don't just do one organ, one area. So obviously we should all know this. People with high diet and meat or dairy food, they're exposed to higher risk for all this. And if your diet lacks fiber and vegetables and fruits or like seaweed, if you don't have diet that consists of all the stuff that's listed just now, then you're at huge risk. We all know this, and it's amazing because your intestinal flora and its environment can be linked to cardiovascular disease and even high blood pressure and lung cancer. And the list goes on. And if you drink a lot of alcohol, I think it's the case in Japan and Korea a lot. And when you drink a lot of alcohol, it gets absorbed in your intestinal and it goes to your liver. And of course, the liver will overwork and use a lot of energy, which will make your liver condition really bad. And if you consume a lot of dairy products, like milk and stuff, you can have allergic reaction, which we all know called atopic condition. And it can lead to a rheumatism on your joints. And we know all the protein that's animal-based, that can contribute negative towards your gut flora, okay? And polyps and cancers, yes, we know, but not only that. I couldn't find another one that's contiguous because it shows you what Probiotics actually does to help it. But I found another short clip, and it might help you so that we know if you don't have clean guts, not only can be constipated and gassy, but it can lead to much more. And another thing that I found, it can travel back into your bloodstream and really contribute to your skin condition too. So if you're breaking out bloated at the same time, then definitely want to look into your intestinal flora and health. And this one is quite short, but it will show you what I just said.
Ingesting probiotics may increase the levels of beneficial bacteria in the gastrointestinal tract. The beneficial bacteria ferment undigested carbohydrates, producing short-chain fatty acids. These acids lower the pH of the intestine, making it inhospitable to bacteria that could be pathogenic. Probiotics also help keep the intestinal mucosa healthy. The mucosa lines the inside of the intestine and serves as the essential barrier between the external environment and the immune system. In addition, probiotics help repair damage to the mucosa by stimulating epithelial cell regeneration. They can also reduce inflammation in the gut by counteracting the effects of pro-inflammatory cytokines and by increasing production of anti-inflammatory cytokines. Further benefits of probiotics include helping prevent harmful bacteria from colonizing the gastrointestinal tract. And perhaps most importantly, recent clinical evidence suggests that consumption of probiotics may reduce the potential for certain childhood illnesses.
All right. So now we go back to the probiotics that's offered by Atomy. Sorry about this, all the graphic stuff, but in a way, I think it's good to be in the know. So let's see here. All right. So probiotics 10 plus. Can you see the slides? Yeah. The people in this room, we all kind of know what probiotics is, but just 10 years ago, it was something new. And I remember my nurse relative used to call it a friendly bacteria. So there's a lot of wordings here, but basically in Latin means for life. And in our body, in our guts, there's two types of, if you say harmful bacteria and beneficial bacteria. And you have to have a certain balance in it. But because of the stress and the food that we eat, it's very hard to keep the balance. And the known fact, which is kind of sad, is that the newborns these days, because that's when you're supposed to have the most beneficial bacteria in your body when the babies are born. But it's known that kids these days, when they check, it's known to, because all the antibiotics and all the fast food that we eat and all that stuff, it's found to have very low in balance the beneficial bacteria. So that's why it's been kind of popular past few years. Probiotics and prebiotics is another thing, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. So intestinal flora, our guts, we call it the guts. And I was very shocked to know that the intestinal flora itself can weigh up to 2 kilograms. And actually our gut is said to be our second brain. So that's 100,000 billion bacteria. They reside in our body, good and bad. And what happens is that if you lose the balance, because 80% of our immune system comes from our gut. And another thing that I added today is that, have you heard of serotonin? Have you heard of it? Serotonin is, some people call it happy hormone, happy chemical. So it's a chemical that's produced in our body. And it's 95% of serotonin is actually produced in our gut. And that chemical is in charge of our moods and our emotional well-being. So it is true that the bacteria in our body, some of them will make you depressed, some of them will make you happy, some of them, and serotonin is the one that will make you actually happy. Some of them will make you gain weight. Some of them will make you lose weight unnecessarily. So all kinds of things are going on in there. And to have that balance in our body, it's being underestimated, but past few years, it's been our focus, and a lot of studies are being done. And of course, people are taking many things for it. I don't know if I have the slide for it, but so what do people do? When my children were young, and especially my first one, and I didn't have good information on probiotics. So what is the first thing that I go and reach out was yogurt. Do you agree? For your children, you go and buy better yogurt, thinking that's going to be good for my children. And apparently it's one of the biggest myths, because in order to have an adequate amount of probiotics for your body, apparently you need to consume like 50 containers of Greek yogurt every day. That's a lot of sugar. That's a lot of fat, and it's a lot of money. So just a little container of, yogurt with jam in it. You know, you can honestly say that 99% of the products out there contains close to none living probiotics in it, and a lot of sugar. Okay, so yes, it's there. So is all probiotic the same? No, of course. And I do not like to put down any other products out there. But I am a parent, and my older child has experienced eczema, atopic condition when she was really young. And this is before I met Atomy. And there's a huge That was a documentary that many of mothers in my Korean community watched, and it listed three major probiotics that was strongly recommended, not only for the eczema and atopic condition for children, but for severe bad breath. You're laughing, you could be laughing, but it could affect your lifestyle. Usually there are people who are laid off or who couldn't, they have fear to go into public because of all of that. Or they found out the immune system and the probiotics link has contribution towards autism too. So it was a huge documentary that people, we circulated all that. I don't know, Inhe, you watched it. So what did I do? I ran to Ambrosia or Whole Foods, whatever is close to you. I went to Ambrosia, and it was literally, especially the section with the children's probiotics, it was emptied out. I remember that. And I had to buy two things, a yogurt and a powder form. But it was very hard to take. And because not one product has the three that was listed in the documentary, so I had to buy two, and I don't remember, cost. I'd rather not buy, but I don't know, I'd rather not eat out as much or don't buy so much clothes. I was ready to pay whatever to help my child, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree. But it was quite pricey. It was at least, I don't know, $80, $90 per month if I didn't forget to take it. But the truth is, I keep forgetting. It was a hassle. The little spoons and the yogurt was quite pricey. So I just didn't really keep up to it. But let's look at this one, because when first time I ran into this product, what did I do? Quickly look at the back and saw if those three were there. So I remember the first one was Lactobacillus acidophilus. Another was Streptococcus. I remember so clearly because I was looking for it. And Bifidobacterium. So there, it's called 10 plus because let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh. Wow, there's like close to 16 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 60, but some of them share similar names. So we know that it's about 12 different probiotics there. And it says 3 billion lactobacilli taken per one sachet, but be aware, they put 20 billion manufacturing. And Korean people, they really consider how many are alive at the end of the expiry date. So 3 billion is at the end of the expiry date, which is 1 year. So they say, after even 6 months, still okay to take. But 3 billion is after 1 year, but 20 billion, that's a lot. But not only that, people say some probiotic will work for you, some won't. So the key is having more than a few strains of probiotics in one product. So not only already this is $33 plus tax for 60, and I know having to take 2 or 3 different to get an adequate amount of probiotics, I was already saving at least, it was a 1 month dose for $80. So being a mother, I can already say 33 for 2 months for one child, right? Let's say it's $40, and it was 80 for 1 month. So I'm saving 4 times a quarter, and like 4 times or 5 times more different types of probiotics right there. So we already kind of went through it. And if you go online, you can see each one of them, what they do. So I'm not going to waste time looking at each one of them because you can definitely go back to the website and take a look at it. And I was kind of fascinated to see it has kimchi lactobacillus extract. It's like kimchi is medicine for everything for Koreans, okay? And hyaluronic acid. Ooh, there's a elastin peptide that's good protein. And probiotics and prebiotics. I don't know if you noticed, and if you're paying attention to the second video clip, it says probiotics need its own food. And the food is called prebiotics. There are many, many types. And one thing I remember is glucose. So some people take probiotics and they have to take prebiotics separately too, right? Which is extra. But you can see here, these apples and bananas, I believe there, and onions, and the glucose. So our probiotics, Atomy probiotics, contains both probiotics and prebiotics, which is food for them to go on, right? So you can check that out. And how much do you have to take? They say 1 a day for adults. And my children are now 12 and 7, and they take 1 each. But until last year, I gave them a half each. It was fine. And I can see, because you know what, being at daycare the whole time and being at school, we've been sort of fortunate because, you know, they get sick all the time. But it's been a lot better with the frequency and duration of sickness with children. So I can see that it's doing a lot of beneficial movements in them. So it's a must have. You know, he's sold out at times. I need this product for my children. And of course, I have many family members with hyperactive. I don't know what it is in English, but it's like you eat something and you have to run. Are you familiar? What do you call that? It's like very sensitive guts. And it's been helping a lot, definitely. Diarrhea or constipation, anything, because that's basically your body's crying out that it was irritated. And you got to get to the bottom of it, not just to suppress the symptoms, okay? This is, I know it's in Korean, but you can see, okay, that's a box that's packaged in Korea. So that's twice as much. And like I said, I don't like to compare and put down a lot, but it's good to know that if you look at it, the second, the highlighted part, that means how many different strains. Because the last 3, the later 3, those are quite well-known products in Korea, and they're about 6, 7, 8, so they're considered pretty good. But if you go to a store, look, they usually have only 1, 2, 3 at the most different strains, okay? And they can have so many, but how much is left? The second highlighted is how many are alive after 1 year, and you can see, and of course, if you do the math, they're as good as half the price. But if you're considering how many strains and how many, it's very hard to compare. But let me show you what's kind of popular in Canada. So I quickly went to well.ca, and I found one problem in those products marketed in Canada. Surprisingly, a few of them were found to contain synthetic fillers. Yes, exactly. And you know what? Health Canada works hard. They find them. So Align is it's a big product. I know that brand. I've taken some before too. But 42 capsules, just 1 a day, 6-week supply. Okay, and it's $47. And there's 1 billion CFU. Okay, it's not even in the game. Well.ca has Culturelle. I see them as shoppers all the time. Yes, this one also had a filler. So it's not very nice, is it? And Ultimate Flora, I used to take that one, the one for kids. So 14 capsules for $20. But it does have 50 billion organisms. So you know what? At least you know. I'm not pushing this in front of you so I can sell. I'm a mother, and you don't have to be a mother, but for your health, at least you know how to compare products. Okay? So this is a learning process. And BioK, I used to swear by. And it's cheaper at Amazon, but if you look at the review, it's like, it's yogurt. It needs to be refrigerated. It has to be refrigerated. 6 bottles, you take half in the morning, and you take the other half in the evening. So 6 bottles for like $60 a week. It's almost $30. But the thing is, the review was like, oh, they came warm. Like, I would go to the store, it's over $33. I cannot remember sharply at this point, but it was way over $30. They do have a patented strain, but I think just 1 or 2 strains in BioK. So you know what? You're shopping, you need to shop. Here, I found one that's kind of close because they have many strains. Gosh, I remember I was checking this as a trillion SFU. There's a lot in there. And I remember, oh my God, I can't. recall exact how many, but it obviously had more than a few, okay? And it has 60 sachets in the pack, but really, is this a mistake? Oh gosh, $990? Jeez. Progrert, right? So do the shopping yourself, okay? It's not hard to see that this carries some type of value. So I'm going back to the website because I found something quite interesting. Can you see this part? Somebody asked me and I have a answer. I went to the Korean website, and by now some of us can read Korean, I hope. Here, question, valid question. This is powder. Some people will say, yeah, but it's better if it's in the capsule. Has anyone ever asked this question? I did, because I heard it's better to be capsulated because you know what? Our body, as soon as it goes in there, it becomes acidic, right? Our stomach works with acid to break down food. But then how does probiotics survive? Lactobacilli, they're known to be quite, you know, they have the longevity. They are known to travel all the way down to the end station. But then again, if you, Atomy Probiotics 10 Plus has, it says it's called ProbioCap. And I checked. And this is technology from Canadian company called the Roselle. And this is some type of patent to capsulate probiotics. So Bifidobacterium longum, Lactobacillus helveticus is added. So what did I do? I check, and they're there. Okay. So I asked the head office, hey, why don't we include that in our website? Because this is a very important question, and it's answered. So this is how much I have found. And if you go to our website, do you see the Canadian website with me? Oh, this non-member price, $46. But as soon as you have your membership, you know it becomes $33, 60 sachets, 2.5 gram. And how do I take it? I usually just open it and up it. Tastes good. Some people put it in water, but I like it just straight like that. You can have a sip of water after, and kids will love this. My kids thought it was candy for a long time. And when to take it? Okay, that's another good question. Some people say before, on empty stomach. Some people say after food. I take it whenever, to be honest. My kids, I have them take it in the morning. As soon as they get up, I have to brush their teeth thoroughly, and glass of water and probiotics. So this is a debatable question for anyone. I think I covered pretty much anything here and here. You don't need to take so much. A lot of it will go right through. You don't need so much. So I think one packet, or even two, is fine. You can take a few, but that's my butt. You don't need to take too much. For children, so youth, basically my daughter 12, she'd be okay with half the pack, but you know what, just give them the whole thing. And kids below 10 should be okay with even quarter. So if you think about it, a box, 60 sachets, and if your child is like 4, let's say, and it's quarter a packet, that's like what? 2 months times 4. 8-month supply for $33. I don't know, it's hard to beat. That's how I look at it. So that's it from me.